No, I want to ask you a question. I read a review of this movie. I shouldn't read any reviews, but someone showed me one, and it was all about how terrible all the performances in this movie. And basically they didn't like anybody. They didn't like any. And I just wondered what the standard of a good performance if those performances were bad.
I tend to agree, and I think, look, it's in a different key, this movie. This is in a different...
That's a good thing, what you just said, and I never thought that. It's in a different key. That's very important. Now, musically, you're speaking.
Yeah. I mean, it is kind of, you either buy into it or adapt, just as like you were saying about, editing Godfather 2 and kind of finding that balance.
See, this is how I learned from basically the greatest teacher is a student. So I'm supposed to be telling you some smart stuff, but you're telling me
that's humbling.
What I needed to know is that if you're in the wrong key, the acting it's just an illusion, so it doesn't work. It's the same performances in Godfather 2, whether you have the 20 minutes or 10.
Exactly.
But in one sequence, it works. Oh, that's helpful. Thank you.
You're welcome, sir. Have you learned anything from reading your reviews over the years? You're still reading them. I can't believe you shouldn't even need to do that. I just read
one because I was looking for something else. and then I was curious. I'm saying, well, if this guy obviously doesn't like... Also, I very much disagree. I remember when the New York Times started to have a star rating system for art, I was so mad because I said, art is not sports. Sports that you want the score. I mean, the Dodgers are playing the Yankees. What was the score? What were all the statistics? But art, I don't get it. I mean, is the Taj Mahal 3 stars and Notre Dame 4 stars?
Right, depending on the lighting of the day.
Or what's and what are the pyramids? Because in other words, art. It doesn't. The scoring doesn't work for art.
Right. Well, it gets into the awards conversation too, obviously, which is a complicated thing.
To me, the greatest award I ever got, and one of it was recent. It's when this young man, what's his name? He made All Quiet on the Western Front.
Oh, Edward Berger.
He came to see me. He said, "I want to meet you." I said, "Well." And I was told his movie was wonderful.
Very good, Conclave.
So I said, well, it's my pleasure. He says, I became a film director. But I saw Apocalypse Now. That to me is the greatest award, to know that I am part of, in a way, his story.
Yeah.
And that's a thrill.
It's curious because I'm sure you get that a lot, obviously.
But I mean, I take that. I remember I once read a book by Balzac, and in this book, someone said to Balzac, all the young writers are stealing your stuff. And Balzac said, that's why I write it. I want them to take it because then I'm part of their work. Yeah. And that's how I feel like, people that I met who were very young that saw my film, not only him, but before, Alfonso Cuarón. I mean, oh my God. What an artist!
Well, it's all part of the continuum. You're part of the lineage, and he will pass on to the next.
But that's the greatest award you can get.
Do you? I mean, because for 50 years, people have been coming up to you saying Godfather 1 and/or 2 are the greatest films ever made. And I know you have you are very proud of those films, but I also know that from reading about you that it's not necessarily maybe the film that you would put as your favorite.
Well, I can't think of myself up in that level because I know who came before, and people talk about what's your 10 favorite movies. We all know. You can say, what are your 1,000 greatest films? In the silent era, there were already 50 masterpieces. Right. So when you're dealing with, all of them, and there's so many names. What's the guy that last? The guy who said the sound sound had to come, but it was too soon. Who made?
Oh, I don't know. Okay.
Who made The Last Laugh and all of Murnau.
Oh, sure. Okay.
I mean, you have giants like Murnau and Kurosawa, and there's millions of them. Of course, we are on the shoulders of super giants,
right?
And it's hard to think of yourself as a big shot or anything when you know what came before and who inspired you.